What's going on, ladies and gents? Rocco Brown here from MyGamingJourney.com, and we're diving into another 1v1 ranked match today. If you're new here, I am a House of Lancaster main. I am a Gold 3 player at the time of this recording in 1v1 ranked matches. Yet again, I am a House of Lancaster main, primary civ that I do tend to play the most with. I also can play some English, I can play a little bit of Japanese, but primarily House of Lancaster is what you're going to find me playing currently. So I'm matching off against another player who I believe at the time of this recording was Gold 3 as well, and this is going to be an English player matchup. So let's dive into everything and see what we got going on. Now, the purpose of this video, similar to my prior videos, is just to have an analysis and keep track of my progress with my gameplay. So ideally, looking at the pros, the cons, things that I may have done right, things that I've done wrong, and how I can improve and get overall better, in the grand scheme of things. So this was a weird game from what I remember. We are going to dive into it together and get an idea of what transpired here and maybe what I could have did better. But by all means, feel free in the comment section below. Definitely leave your thoughts, concerns, questions. Definitely leave any tips, tricks, etc. But just keep things respectful and keep things on topic. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the game. Ideally, how I like to open, I like to move 6 onto sheep. And then my next 3 villagers onto gold, and then basically I rally up everything else onto gold until I hit about 13 villagers, and then I age up from there. So it was kind of the same thought process here in this game, but this is where things get weird, and you'll see what I mean. This game was just weird. So I'm not necessarily sure what I should have did better, but this is where I saw the outpost go down, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. So definitely trying to stop me from going up, which made sense. Lost a villager that I shouldn't have lost. And maybe I should have committed with all of my villagers to try to stop that, but my thought process was like, okay, let me just go over here to gold, continue to scout, go from there, right? So take a quick look. Just reveal the whole map because I want to get an idea of what. So had I actually went over there and just stopped that, I probably could have actually stopped that. Now that I'm looking back, but neither here nor there. So that's what transpired, right? So let me turn this back off. So literally that outpost goes up, right? And I'm like, all right, let me just shift over here. Let's not panic. Just pop over here. Let's jump on this gold, right? Naturally, this positioning would have been golden because my Lancaster castle, which was what I was going to age with, protects my stone, protects my gold. But naturally now that's out of the question because we have this outpost here and they're taking my gold on that side. So my thought process was just to keep continuing down on what I was doing and see what I can make happen. Okay, gathered a decent chunk of sheep. They're taking my gold now, and I'm like, where can I drop my upgrade at? So I end up dropping it here. Not my upgrade, my age up Lancaster castle, right? So I'm trying to see what this knucklehead has in store and what they're trying to do now. Rush it up. And I'm like, let me stick here and stick around for a second just to see if there's going to be any other workers that try to shift over here and bother me. But not seeing anything, so get my gold up there. Naturally, I now know I need stone, right? So I'm like, well, where can I go to get stone? Because it doesn't do me any good if I can't start dropping down and putting down any manors. So I'm like, now I got to scout around and see if I can find some stone somewhere that I can go to town with. So we're looking for stone now. This is what I mean when I say this game got weird, right? What did you end up doing? Weird. None of this makes any sense to me, right? Neither here nor there, though, okay? So I'm looking for my stone, find some stone. Idle villagers, not fun, but found some stone nonetheless, right? So, at this stage of the game, I'm like, what am I going to do? I was like, this is not a traditional game, nothing that I'm used to in this regard. How am I supposed to play this out? You know what I mean? So, looking for my stone, found some stone, trying to get another villager down on stone so I can at least have 3 on stone, just so I can start pumping and grabbing some, putting some manners down, and boom, I see some more workers coming. So I'm like, all right, this is getting even weirder. What is going on? So my thought process at this point in time was I know I want to drop down some military production buildings because I need to literally drive some pressure here to do something with these vills, right? So walking, getting some stone up. I think I dropped down 1 manor, and then I think I transitioned immediately into a archery range, if I remember correctly. But I think that was the process that ended up playing out there at this point in time. So currently 6 on food, 8 on wood, 3 on gold, and then we got 3 on stone, right? Drop a few more deer off. I think, as I mentioned, we get ready to plop down a manor, I believe. Yes. Plop down a manor. And then once that manor plops down, this is when I transition into production, if I remember correctly. So, still age 2 on my end, opponent's age 1. I genuinely, when I tell you, I don't know what I was supposed to do here as the game goes on. You'll see what I mean. Like, I get creative and I start trying to play it out, but ideally, I'm assuming what maybe should have happened was I should have literally just started siege engineering right immediately. The moment I hit 2, siege engineering, and just started knocking things down. Just in my head, I felt like it would have set me back. So my thought process is let me just try to play my game around whatever goofiness this is. But that's what ended up transpiring, right? So they're building down towers around gold, around stone, and I'm assuming not realizing that I had already transitioned. So here we are. Probably could have built another archery range, more production. There we go. Okay, so I did build at least 2. Cool. So that's what's transpiring from here, and that's what we have going on. So my thought process yet again was, let me start pumping out some production and let me start getting these villagers out the way. At least the known villagers that I see. I may not be able to do anything up top here naturally, but I can do some damage down here. So let me take a look and see what they were doing back at home. Now I'm trying to chase down Abbey of Kings. Okay. I thought they upgraded with the White Tower, from what I remember, but I guess that didn't transpire like that. So Abbey of Kings, makes sense. Just to be able to do some constant healing. Neither here nor there, so let me dive back over into my point of view. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, they have this top part, cool. I got my stone now, I can get my stone. I can keep pumping out some production buildings and then see if I can get some pressure and some damage done. And so let me start doing some assault and some pressure of my own on my side of the house. But ultimately, I should have finished that game at the very beginning here. I should have committed all of my villagers to just put that bad boy down, and I did not. What the heck is going on that side? So I'm looking for villagers, something that I can actually do some damage with on my end, Bear in mind, I lost one villager from the very beginning. Not getting any kind of damage done, unfortunately. But I'm looking for something. There's the king. And I'm like, here we go. Probably could have committed to that. Yeah, probably could have committed to that and actually killed that king. Unfortunately, hindsight 2020, but didn't get done like I wanted to. Yeah, didn't get done like I wanted to, unfortunately. Put down a barracks. And then at that point in time, I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to find my stone. Probably wondering where I'm getting stone from. Yep. So I'm like, let me... So I see workers again. And I'm like, I want to get those workers. So now I'm looking for them. Trying to find out where they're making their way to. And I believe I lose sight of them. Actually, speaking of which, where did they go to? So yeah, they doubled around and got up out of there. Which was smart. Couldn't find them. So my thought process was they were probably swinging around to get up here to the rest of what they had going on up here, but it looks like he took them home. So on this end right now, got idle workers trying to get people back onto my stone, just so I can continue to pump out some manners. What do you have going on your end? When I say this was the weirdest game for me, ladies and gents, like I mean that. The weirdest game. I should have got that out the way. So you'll see what ends up transpiring in my thought process as to what I end up doing. But here we are, Blacksmith Tech. I see he's definitely building a base further up. And I'm like, let me get that out of range because eventually he's going to start sieging down. I already knew that was going to be the case. So I'm moving across the map. My thought process is if you're committing up here, then what I need to do is start building my battering ram technology, right? And let's see what I can get done on this end. That's my thought process. So I'm like, okay, if we need to jump into a base race or base trade scenario, let's do that. I'm in a little bit better of a position simply because you're still building your infrastructure. I have infrastructure, and let's see what we can get done. So I'm producing siege engineering. So in my mind, this makes the most sense, right? How this transpires and goes from there, but that's the thought process. So get some siege engineering down. Let's start pumping out some battering rams, and let's start seeing if we can work the main base. Like I'm not getting any damage done right now. But let's see, y'all. So, I'm like, at this point in time, I'm thinking to myself, well, the game has somewhat leveled out, right? This is still weird. English naturally can build all of their units and things at extended speed from their, from keeps and things of that nature. So my thought process was eventually there's going to be a white tower that goes down up here, a keep, something. And I'm like, in my mind, that's where the true base race is going to begin. So he ends up building it over here. So this is what we have going on, right? I'm like, maybe I can literally start cooking in this regard. And I probably should have got more battering rams. Like a bunch more. He even went up to 3 before me, which is wild. He or she, excuse me. But that's the reality of what I had going on. I just was out of sorts with this game. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, that whole... Had it been a Mongols player that did that early on, it wouldn't shock me, right? But this goofiness here and now was just weird to me, having an English player do that, and I probably should have just committed all of my workers to stopping it, right? But I did not. So we have 4 battering rams, and I'm like, all right, let's see if I can get something done worthwhile here. Come on. I'm like, I'm trying to maneuver and not. Trying to maneuver here, y'all. And I'm like, why won't this go down? Like, bruh. What? What's my archers? I just realized that. Why were y'all not shooting the horses? Strange. Neither here nor there. So, another headache of mine, y'all. So, this is what we got going on. I could have took that fight. Let's see what you have going on, sweetheart. No castle down yet, but White Tower down here. Not a ton of infrastructure. Like, I should have won this. Looking back, hindsight's 2020, but this is just a weird situation to me, right? So, I mean, I speeded up too much. I'm gonna come back down just to get an idea. My thought process, start burning down some of these houses, keep that main town center from going back up. Now I know horses are raiding around, so I'm like, alright, let me get some infrastructure up. More infrastructure, I should say. I know they're floating somewhere. There we go. So this is what we have going on. At this point in time, I think I'm in a somewhat favorable position. I'm getting some damage done in the main base. He's going to have to come back down here to actually do something worthwhile to play with me. And I'm like, I still don't see any castles or anything at the north of my base. So I still feel I'm in a somewhat decent predicament. Right? Let's turn this back off and let's see. Actually, let me take a quick look because I do want to see the entire map and see what was going on throughout the remainder of down here. Okay. Cool. So, nothing too crazy, right? So I'm still feeling like I'm in a pretty favorable position, right? I'm like, let me come over here. Let's get this done. We're not doing that. At this stage, I'm feeling like I'm pretty decent. All right. I got a lot of damage done. I know I got the main base out the way, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, Rock, we're stabilizing. This is looking somewhat good, right? So I remember I'm like, okay, well, where was he running to with that last worker? What's going on? There must be something in the corner somewhere. Something must be taking place. And my bright idea at this point was, now let me get a, what's it called? And I was like, okay, this is what we have going on. So there's something down in the corner. So my bright idea was like, let me get out some monks and let me start getting sacred sites. Like, let's do that. Just take sacred sites, bare minimum, and I can win the game like that. Only 2 sacred sites in the game. And I'm like, where are you now assaulting from? So I said, okay, that's what I see there. He's getting damage done, which is not ideal. I'm just losing workers that I shouldn't be losing, y'all, at all. So the assaults, the headaches, and I'm like, I went from being in a favorable position to now a not so favorable position. Like, what is going on here? Like, let me get some even more production just so I can get situated. And I'm like, okay, from good to bad, good to bad. What happened here? Headaches, y'all. So I'm like, how things have turned this quickly. So we're down to 6 on food, 1 on wood, 3 on gold. Still got a decent chunk of workers. Well, no, I don't. He killed a lot of them. I'm only at 30, so no, I don't have a decent chunk at this point. And I'm like, hopefully I can repay this favor. That out the way. So, White Tower's done, and yet again, here we are, thought processes. Let's start pumping out the monks, and let's grab sacreds. I'm like, I could just take a sacred victory if nothing else. Be in business from there. Cool. So, thought process made the most sense to me. Siege down is happening on that end. Take a look and see what you're doing down here. So you got your main base back up. And this is when I see the keep over at this sacred. So I'm like, okay, this is not what I'm trying to see right now. So, siege is happening. I'm losing workers, which I should not be, y'all. Like, just not paying attention, to say the least. Just map awareness is not all amazing, unfortunately. Need to get back on this side. Chasing down, chasing down. Probably shouldn't have let them go, because you'll see they'll come back to cause me problems momentarily. So, did not get that other sacred site, and boom, I see them floating around in the back, and look who comes to bother me. Shish kebab, Charlie. So now what's taking place is I'm just running around with chicken, like a chicken with my head cut off, losing landmarks. Thought process is to still turn this situation into a sacred site victory. And then what ends up transpiring as I'm trying to commit to this is I end up losing my last landmark, unfortunately. And that's where things just go downhill. Because at this stage, guess what I'm losing here? So I take Sacred, but it does me no good because I lose this. Alright? So just an overall weird game in my humble opinion, y'all. Like yet again, had it been the Mongols who were tower rushing early on, it wouldn't have threw me off as much. But the fact that it was an English player and then it was just like this, I don't even know where to go from here. Just to be honest with you, like I just lost sight and I was just trying to literally come back and make it up as I was going from there. Was this yeah, it was this game. So timeline wise, like timeline means nothing if you don't win. Only thing matters is the winning aspect. The total score, I was ahead in economy, but they were ahead in everything else. Like, let that sink in. Like, the amount of stuff that was delayed on their end. They went to age 3 before I went to 3. Right? They came and lost a ton of villagers, took villagers on my side. It was just weird. Army wise, had a larger army, but they did a lot more damage, destroyed so many villagers of mine that I shouldn't have lost. Economy wise, I did decent economy, but that means nothing. Technology, I think they even had more tech than me, and technology count was the same, which is crazy. And they aged up pretty much close to 2 minutes faster than me. Villager high, idle villager time. My idle villagers was ridiculous. So let's go into the pros first. The pros, I feel like I adapted decently. What I mean by that is the game got weird very early on, right? So even though it flustered me, I didn't let it stop the game, right? So when I say adapted, what I did shift over from my gold. I lost access to my gold that had my gold and stone side by side, and I just went to a different gold. Pro, right? I then in turn did a little scouting around, found some added stone. Pro. So I started getting my stone, started getting my gold, just got it in different locations. Amazing, right? In addition to that, I started pumping out some production buildings, immediately went into siege engineering, and the thought process shifted from if you're at my base on this side, let me go directly into your base and let me start just battering, ramming things down and getting you out the way. So I think I did a decent job with my decision making skills there and not panicking to the point that I didn't know what else to do, right? So those were pros. Cons, right? Those are probably the only pros. Additional pro, I will say I did a decent job of making villagers. That's something I struggled with. So for example purposes, after a certain point in the game, we'll say maybe about 15-20 minutes into the game, I'll get up to about, we'll say 50-60 villagers, and then I'll just stop making villagers. Not intentionally, I'll just get so focused on building army that I forget to make villagers, right? So I think I did a decent job of continuing to produce villagers. So that is another pro that I think I did relatively well this game. And then the last pro would be transitioning from the battering rams into taking a sacred site victory, right? I think that was a smart concept there. that came to mind, and I was like, all right, this is another way that we can end out and close out the game. Let's dive into the cons. Lost too many workers, right? The amount of villager kills that he got, like any advantage that I got with the villager kills that I got and damage that I caused was negated because I was losing villagers left and right, left and right, left and right. Lost a lot of villagers, right? Another thing I should have identified was I should have immediately ran over to my goal to get that tower down. Right, I should have never even let that go up, and unfortunately, I let it go up. So had I knocked that down and out the way from the very beginning, game would have been over. Right. What else? The actual um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Keeping tabs on my landmarks. Like I was losing landmarks as you saw, so there wouldn't have been a landmark victory had I turned around and started repairing the landmarks that I lost. So I lost my main town center, check. Lost my white tower, check. And then the only thing that was left was the Lancaster castle. So as I'm securing the sacred site, had I messed around and had those repaired, I would have been safe. But on the flip side of the equation, I wouldn't have been able to repair them because I was getting siege down, as you remember. So it was kind of a lose-lose situation in that regard, but that's my fault for not getting that goofiness out the way a lot earlier. Um, what else? My age up time, right? There's no reason he should have went up to 3 before I did, right? Nobody else's fault other than mine. And that was nasty business. Literally by about 3 minutes ahead of schedule, that he aged up before me. So that was another headache to say the least. What else con wise that I can think of? Could have started collecting relics, but literally at that point in time, my mind shifted to sacred site victory. So I literally just forewent the relics to get out the priest to take the sacred sites in and of itself. So good, bad, ugly. That's kind of the things that transpired with that game, but it was just a weird game. You know what I mean? Super, super weird. So, with that being said, that concludes literally my analysis for this particular game. Definitely a lot of room for improvement. A lot of things I need to work on. Things that I can get better at. Feel free to like, follow, share, subscribe, comment in the section below. Any tips, tricks, questions, concerns, feel free to leave them. Right. Just make sure we keep everything on topic and keep it respectful. But I'm naturally looking to get better, looking to improve, and we'll see what the next game holds. Until next time, everybody take care, and I'll see you in the next one.